Are you excited for Wrestlemania weekend? I definitely am. So why wait? Let's make our final stop before Wrestlemania with the biggest NXT Premium Live event of the year. Stand and deliver. On the kickoff, there even was one match where Tyler Bate and Chase U took on the Schism, where winners gained control of Chase University. High stakes. And by the way, it's the first ever match for The Rock's daughter Ava Raine. The big strong boy Tyler Bate was put in Schism in their place, but Duke Hudson was tagging himself without consensus, and that's why tensions were building. Generally, Chase U couldn't get on the same page, and Schism were taking the ultimate advantage of it. But when the big man wanted, he delivered. Duke accidentally wiped out Tyler Bate. Gacy capitalized with Upside Down World, but Andre Chase was there in time. Then Schism surrounded Hudson, and after some hesitation he seemingly turned his back on Chase U and sold out to Schism by putting their t-shirt, but then he stepped behind them and ripped that shirt to pieces and immediately attacked Joe Gacy and the Schism alongside Chase U. But I gotta tell you, he caught me there, and I believed it. Absolutely. Of course they successfully finished the match with the victory and they are stronger than ever. Duke Hudson didn't need those delusional idiots that be in the Schism, so he did pretty good job fooling them around and reinforcing his bond with the Chase U. However, this was kickoff match, and that's why no star rating. And we're starting with the big 6-woman ladder match for Roxanne Perez's NXT Womens Championship. She didn't relinquish and can still fight and defend her title. This is such a star-loaded match. We have 6 women who rarely lose, so any of those could win. The wild card Indy Hartwell, Thunderous Lyra Valkyria, Egomaniac Tiffany Stratton, the Warrior Gigi Dolan, and Dominator Zoe Starks are all going straight to each other for the championship. There were many sacrifices in form of nasty ladder spots. The ring was full of ladders. Gigi Dolan got rid of Valkyria and was no doubt going to grab the title if it wasn't for returning JC Jane, who spoiled everything for her and knocked her into the ladder. She returned unexpectedly early, but it happened nonetheless. Later, Indy Hartwell dumped Stratton from the top of the ladder and all 3 other women, and they all fell down outside. And Indy had a clear path to the gold, but was still struggling to climb. And there he came. Dexter Lumis arrived in the right place at the right time and launched Indy into the stratosphere, where she took the NXT Women's Championship. Even though they overplayed and oversaturated descending, it was the case where it was absolutely worth it, cause Indy Hartwell was on a downward spiral for a long time, just barely even got here after winning the last chance match, and nobody would bet on her here, but she won it all. And if that's not a fairy tale, I don't know what is. Magical moments like this definitely don't happen often in WWE. Everything I wanted from this match was a new champion, but I never thought it will be Indy Hartwell, with help of Dexter Lumis, so it was a very pleasant surprise. But I get why they did it. Indy's in NXT for almost 3 years already, so this title is a homage to her work here from Shawn Michaels. Nice. Match rating is 3.5. Next is Triple Threat Tag Team bout for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Creed Brothers, which were by the way supported by Daniel Cormier from the front row, Stax and Tony who brought some backup, and the champions Gallus Boys who were looking to remain on top. They all were playing games, building their mutual bond, and hanging out in the bar for the last several weeks. But now it's time to fight. And hell yes, they say. I can't ignore Stax's progress. He finally looks like he knows what he's doing in the ring, and his teamwork with Tony was fantastic. The Creeds were fired up and were feeding the power from Daniel Cormier. Funny moment was where Julius said double doomsday outside, but Brutus once again botched his Brutus ball. He didn't even touch them, I think, or he barely did. In the finishing touches of the match, the Angelo family dropped Mark Coffey with their finisher, and when Stax was pinning him, he got dragged out by none other than Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey's brother. Then Joe clotheslined Tony, and Gallus knee smashed Stax in the ring, and retained their title belts successfully. The more I watch Gallus, the more I like them. They're all business, they're very wise, and they can't be fooled around by anyone. They stand up face to face with adversity and deliver. That's what I like about them. Very nice. And now Gallus is finally complete and stronger than ever. Gallus Boys on top. Rating of this match is 3 stars. Backstage, Pretty Deadly wanted to speak to the champion Braun Breaker, but they didn't have the balls to do so. Back to the ring, we have Fatal 5-Way NXT North American Championship match with Ilya Dragunov, Axiom, JD McDonald's, and debuting worldwide sensation Dragon Lee, challenging fearless champion Wesley. McDonald's and Dragunov didn't see anyone except each other. Dragon Lee and Axiom were trying to catch Wesley, but they still couldn't get the job done. Wesley is incredible. He welcomes every challenge. He creates chaos and succeeds in it. He really put there on a champion-like performance. He outclassed everyone one by one. That's why he's wearing that gold. McDonough hit Wesley with the devil inside, and when he was pinning him, Dragunov stopped referee's hand from hitting free. It comes exactly from the Halloween Havoc match of Braun Breaker. He returned the favor, and even asked McDonough if he remembers that. These two cared less about the title and more about destroying each other. Killing each other was their mutual ultimate goal. Dragon Lee was holding McDonough in the sleeper hold. Dragunov powerbombed Axiom onto them. And while executing this giant triple pinfall, Wesley interrupted it with beautiful red arrow from the top rope. Dragunov pulled out giant superplex on Axiom. It looked powerful. How did the match end? Dragunov was aggressive like insane lunatic. Wesley took advantage of it, and when Ilya hit torpedo on Dragon Lee, he received cardiac kit from Wesley at the same time, where Wesley retained his gold. He doesn't rush into things. He keeps his cool every time, and controls each situation. He's cold-hearted, and it allowed him to stay focused in this chaotic fatal 5-way match, and catch the right moment, outsmart the competition, and retain his title. What a great champion, and what a storm of a match, where everybody interacted with one another in a non-stop action during all 19 minutes of the match. I expected none of these guys to take the title from Wesley. I think the most likely man to beat Wesley for that championship is Grayson Waller, and I want it. Rating of the match is 3.75 stars. Trick Williams talks his talk about the upcoming NXT Championship match to Pretty Deadly. Next match is the biggest grudge match in current NXT, or even maybe in all of WWE, and it's unsanctioned match between Grayson Waller, who made his entrance in style, and very vengeful Johnny Gargano. Johnny didn't forget how his NXT run ended 16 months ago, with Grayson Waller attacking him from behind, and also of course several weeks ago, attacking him near his house. He immediately attacked him with the super kick and launched him into the commentary table, where even Booker T got into the fire. This is how personal it is, between Waller and Gargano. This is unsanctioned. Nobody is responsible for what they do to each other here. Many weapons were used. This was a wild card of a brawl. Waller powerbombed Johnny through the table outside. Grayson was torturing him with the steel chair and wanted to put on a finish with a concerto onto the steel steps in front of his family. But thankfully Gargano escaped and punished him candlestick, and Johnny let his wife Candice take out some frustration on Waller, where he stopped and threatened her. But just in time, from behind, Johnny got back into the fight and hit Grayson with one final beat, where the arrogant Aussie kicked out. Waller jumped coast to coast onto the trash can, but Gargano survived as well. They began the match with the commentary table, and why not break it with powerbomb? Waller sank to low blow and performed his amazing stunner, but Johnny has a big rebel heart, and it helped him to kick out. Waller was punishing him with the chair, was talking a lot of arrogant trash, but Johnny returned the favor and hit a low blow ball smash, nearly broke his neck with chairs, and squeezed him out where Waller had no choice but to tap out. What an all-out brawl! War until the very end. One of the most personal matches I can remember. A complete redemption for Johnny. Gargano somewhat has been lost in the main roster recently, and at least he briefly returned to NXT to set a personal score on the big stage. This was the best time and the best place to do it for himself, and he did it. Very nice for him. On the stage, he and Candice even met their friends Dexter Lumis and the new NXT Women's Champion India Hartwell to hug it up and celebrate. What a powerful moment. Rating of that brawl is 4 stars. And here we have the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship match, with unlikely duo of Kiana James and Fallon Henley, defending against another unlikely duo of Sinisters, Dark Clouds and Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. But the difference between them is that the champions have turmoil, while the challengers are completely on the same page, and they took this advantage by attacking them before the match, and dominating in the match. James and Henley couldn't even focus on the task in hand. They were not motivated to do so. Henley wants to stay the champion, but also wants to let Brooks Jensen know the truth. And yes, he somehow doesn't know this yet. What a joke. What a travesty. Meanwhile, Fire and Dawn were fully focused on winning the titles by any means necessary. Kiana James was asking Brooks for her back, but Josh Briggs and Fallon Henley did not agree to this, and because of this hesitation, challengers isolated James and destroyed her to win the Tag Team Championships, while Briggs was holding Jensen from preventing the cover. So we very predictably have the new Tag Team Champions, and they're going to be very dominant. And this so-called love story is going too long. And one way or another, Jensen's gonna hear that name Sebastian when Kiana James runs out of her tricks, and her true colors will be ultimately revealed. And not a good match technically, just dropping the titles to the new dominant duo. I give the rating of 2.25 stars. And the youngest main event in Wrestlemania weekend history for the NXT Championship is in store, with him challenging the unstoppable Braun Breaker. The generational talent versus the unbeatable monster. Trick Williams reminded us of all of Melo's incredible accolades and presented him in style. Fans obviously are tired of Braun Breaker and boo him more and more, louder and louder. It doesn't apply to me, but nonetheless. And Hayes is getting more and more popular. Fans chant Melo whenever they get a chance. These are two men who dominated the new era of NXT, but never met against each other until that moment. They both have built this new NXT from the ground up. Of course, the big match between them was only a matter of time. First, Carmelo was absolutely outmatched and outclassed, and Braun showed them why he has been more successful in the last 1.5 years. It looked like Melo was running into a wall for a long time and couldn't do anything about it. But with the time going, Breaker was becoming more tired, and Melo was able to reverse the momentum and make this match more balanced. And once Breaker had the momentum back, Trick Williams was up to his games and pulled Hayes back from Braun's shoulders, and he immediately got ejected into the back and dropped by Breaker alongside Carmelo Hayes. They had a stalemate and went to strikes to test their toughness. Later, Braun speared Melo into referee, and while he was down, Breaker tapped Melo out in a crossface, but it didn't count because ref was down, and there Trick Williams ran back out of nowhere and hit Braun the belt, where the champ kicked out. Breaker was still trying his Gorilla Press Slam, but Melo reversed into Code Breaker and hit nothing but net and captured the NXT Championship by dethroning the most dominant NXT champion of all time. And even though it was a dirty victory, Breaker still handed over the title to Hayes. They shook hands, and Braun raised his hand with honor. First, I obviously thought that Braun Breaker has done enough in NXT and is ready to go to the main roster, but he didn't show up on the next Raw or SmackDown. But he showed up in NXT and attacked the new champion and Trick Williams by turning heel. This was completely unexpected, but it's also very interesting to discover what heel he's gonna be. And yes, if you keep him in NXT, you only turn him heel. This is the only right thing. They decided that Braun needs more seasoning and preparation in NXT, and at the same time they're gonna test him as a heel. Not bad. Meanwhile, Hayes and Williams turned faces at the same time. So good, as they're getting more popular. This match wasn't a blockbuster technically. They didn't tear the house down, but they made and told a great story. Rating of the match is 3.5 stars. Next, we divide 20 by 6 or 10 by 3, what's the same thing, and it's the infamous 3.3333333. My grade to the event is 6.5. To strike the balance, the main event wasn't the best match of the show, but the NXT North American title match was amazing with its chaos, and also Waller-Gargano war was fantastic. It didn't tear the house down, but nonetheless somewhat lived up to the Wrestlemania hype. Not bad considering it took place on the same day in Wrestlemania Night 1. A juicy warm-up. Thanks for coming here to LA. See you yesterday. Forget about it.